It seems like only 24 hours ago, we all enjoyed each other's company. Well, here we go again. Another packed Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge where my co-hosts and I will be analysing last night's 3 home points in a little more considered detail, whilst welcoming Charlie Austin back to the show for another weekly dose of Chazetta Football Australia. We look ahead to Doncaster away for the men, Bournemouth at Foundation Park for the women, Clem's back in the country. We're all dressing in green and white, and we've said a temporary cheerio to a couple of town starlets. But first, a special guest. One of the very first characters through the door, part of Swindon Town's Moneyball revolution that's currently sweeping through the club and its recruitment practices. This rangy attacker boasts a fine pedigree, schooled under the watchful eye of a certain Brendan Rodgers and co. at Leicester City since 2017, and making a whopping 40-odd appearances for Swindon Town's League Two rivals Walsall last season before moving to Swindon under freedom of contract for the commencement of pre-season 22-23. There's nothing shady about this character, and we're flipping delighted to have him with us tonight. Esteemed listeners, I give you St Kitts and Nevis's finest export, Tyrese Shade. Tyrese, how are you, buddy?
You're right. I'm great, thank you. I'm good.
It's lovely to have you on. I hope you enjoyed your introduction.
Oh no, I loved it. It was great.
Well, welcome to the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge family, buddy. You are now officially, quote, friend of the show, as we like to say in media circles. All very poncy, but you'll get used to it. So, Tyrese, I'll introduce you to my co-host, because listeners, we've asked for your questions and you've not disappointed. And joining me tonight to pose them to Tyrese on your behalf is the champ, Ellis Holloway. Ellis, good evening. How are you?
Sorry.
Someone's chinned Ellis.
I was messing up. Getting nervous. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you're very welcome, Ellis. You're very welcome. We've got Joe joining us. Joe, good evening.
Good evening, everyone. How are we?
Yeah, very good.
Good.
And last but certainly not least, we've got the man that puts no in Northerner. We've got Chris.
Now then.
How are we, Chris?
Yeah, not too bad. Once I managed to get on just in time.
Yeah, well, you certainly have. And Tyrese is in the house. Well, look, without further ado, Tyrese, you've had a busy night, and we're going to be last night. We're going to be touching on that through the questions, as I'm sure you're well oiled and prepared for. So I've got the first one for you, actually, Tyrese. We had a late question come in, and it says, Tyrese, take you back to the final league game of last season. What goes through your mind as Swindon took over the Bescot for our playoff party?
Oh no, it was crazy. But a little insight which nobody knew. Pretty much before the season ended, I kind of knew I'd be joining. So, I mean, I lost in the Walsall shirt. I wasn't too disappointed because I knew it would benefit in the long run, being as, you know, the boys had a chance at getting promotion. So it was kind of, best of both worlds at the same time, really.
Wow. Was that common knowledge of Walsall? Were Walsall aware of that, Tyrese, as well? Because obviously you'd had a successful season, and I'm sure they were after your services.
No, there wasn't actually, and it carried on, you know, a bit late, into the off season. They wasn't aware of it, not until the season had officially ended. So during the game, they had no clue now.
Well, listen, they can hold their League Cup W, mate. You know, they can hold that. We will always have the last game of last season, and we will always have Tyrese Shade. Unlucky Walsall. We've got well,
Tyrese, sorry, Hannah's one more question on that one.
Yeah,
Tyrese, does it leave an impression of town fans before you come to the club? Obviously, that last game of the season, I mean, town fans were on form.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like the support from the fans, like playing in that game, like you wouldn't believe it was a League Two game, and you like the stakes that was there, like just made me want to join even more. The support was unreal.
Quality.
And you didn't have too bad a game yourself either, Tyrese, to be fair.
Yeah, I know. I had a few shots that come close. That was blocked, but the boys that game, they just showed, you know, how truly good squad there was.
Unlike the boy Divine on the other round, unlike that Divine chance who had an absolute shocker.
Come on
Nah,
now.
it wasn't just him. It was a tough game for all of us that played on the other team. Definitely, it wasn't an easy one.
Nicely played, Tyrese. Nicely played. That keeps your lift intact, mate, for training tomorrow. Don't worry. I see the game you're playing there. Tyrese, we'll move you along. We've got Chris has got the next one for you.
Yeah.
All right then, Tyrese. So
Yeah.
obviously, like going back to last night, you must admit that goal was a little fortunate. What's the best goal you've scored and so far, and why? That's from Daz on Twitter.
Oof. The best goal I've scored. Well, mainly most of them have come from youth football, like under 23s in the Leicester setup. So I'd say half volley against Southampton is definitely up there. Or going back to last season, funnily enough, I scored a free kick against Sutton last season, and I got one yesterday. So I kind of think I got a knack against scoring against Sutton United. To be fair,
they must love
so
you.
yeah, I'll probably say my free kick against Sutton last season.
Go on, mate. Talk us through it.
Well, actually, funny enough, I didn't start that game. It was 0-0, pretty much typical Sutton, balls in the box, like fight ball. They're very like dominant, physical. And then I came on roughly 60, and then like 60th minute, and then like 5 minutes later, we've had a free kick. And to be fair, I practiced them a little bit in training, and then like there was a massive gap around the wall. I've literally just bent it round, and it's gone in. And then fortunately, we won the game 1-0. So it was a good one.
Absolute peach. Well, so I mean, Tyrese, you've got a few lads in our squad like this year that are set piece experts. You've got Slick Rick.
Yeah.
You've got Louis. You've got lads that can wrap their boot around it. Is there a pecking order for the free kicks, or are you still well within the pecking order?
I think it's up to Reedy's approval. To be fair, if he's feeling on fire, then I don't think anyone's got a chance. But if he's off the pitch, then I'll definitely try and make a claim for second in line.
Poor old Slick Rick. He's not going to get it. I mean, in fairness, he can spend as much time as Ricky wants in the gym. You're just gonna give him the look, aren't you? You're gonna give him the look.
No, another shout out to Ricky. He's another great dead ball specialist. So when he's on, I presume as well, he'd get the nod from the gaffer from taking set pieces as well. You see, he takes corners and stuff. So that's another one that's up there.
All right, Ellis, do you want to move us along?
Yes. So I got another question from Daz on Twitter. Nando's, is it overpriced or is it overrated?
You know what? I wouldn't say it's overrated, to be fair, because it's quite popular. Nando's. It's pretty much in every city in the country.
What spice are you going for?
What spice? Medium. I think hot is a bit too much, and mild is not enough flavor. So yeah, medium is perfect.
Yeah.
Joe, move us along.
Just finding my question. Oh, here you go. So this one actually relates to last night. So before the game, Hannes was coming into the ground, and he happened to run into Saidu Khan with a Gambia flag on his person.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you've seen us on Twitter, but he signed it. But he's actually signed it with your number. So my question is, obviously 28 is your squad number, not Saidu's.
Yeah.
Is there a story behind that choice, or is it just a random kit number?
28, yeah, funnily enough, yeah, it is. I like to go for it every time I get the chance, because when I was younger, like I got released from Birmingham City at 15, and then I struggled to get into like another like professional setup, and then a lot of my mates at the time signed for Solihull Moors that season. So going into there, I got like obviously my first professional deal at 16, and then my first squad number breaking into the first team was 28, and then spent one season with Solihull Moors, and then that's where I moved on to Leicester. So I kind of find it as not so much a good luck, but like a special number to me, because I find it, whereas I kind of set myself up in the professional game, that's my number, and I've kind of stuck with it since then.
Yeah, the number that gave you a chance.
Yeah, the number that gave me a chance. Yeah, I can say that.
Hey,
I like
Tyrese. Well, as you know, we got Charlie Austin will be sticking his nose around the door in about 20 minutes' time, and
Yeah,
the 32 has followed Charlie around his entire career, and I think he's got similar motivations to you as well in that respect. A
yeah.
nice comfort blanket. In fact, I think Hoops, who's listening in tonight, will probably be able to tell you more about that story. Yeah, enough of that. Another time. What we got next, Chris? I believe you got the next one.
All right, Tyrese. You have an overnight hotel stay prior to an away game and have to share a room with another player.
Yeah.
Who would you most want to share a room with, and who would you least like to share a room with, and why?
Most, I'd like to say, well, to be fair, since Marcel's coming, we've got along quite well. We're great friends. Obviously, you knew him before he signed from just playing against him again, like in youth football. So I'd say since he's joined Marcel, but before that, to be fair, I think Jake said the same thing with Reese. I don't know if you lot have saw it yet, but he's quite a character. I'd say he's one of the he's one of the funniest in the bunch, and you'll probably get this with every player that gets this question. I'd say Reese Devine, definitely great banter.
He must be very, very frustrated,
Yeah,
Reece, side, given the start to the season that he's had, the unfortunate
yeah.
with injuries and whatnot. He's not far off it from what we understand.
Yeah, no, very, very close. It's very soon, with injuries, it's things you got to take time with. It's not things you just get thrown back in because obviously you can get reoccurrence and stuff. But he's very close. He's been back in full training and he's looked like he ain't missed a week. To be fair, he's up to sharpness. So hopefully soon he can get back in there.
Well, Joe and I saw we were commentating on the Woking game. I think it was Reece had described himself in the sort of days prior as being an engine. And he
Yeah.
absolutely showed us what that's all about against Woking, who were obviously fancied in the National League. So it's going to be interesting to see him come in on the left-hand side and add a bit of depth and dimension. Right, what we got next? Ellis, you're up next, mate, I believe.
Yes, I've got a very good question from Chris Kelly on Twitter. How long did you have to practice to perfect that fantastic goal flip celebration?
To be fair, I didn't even land it, so I can't even say I've got it perfectly yet. But it's something I could do from school. I never really practiced it. I just one of them ones that done it, and then it just came off, and then I've just been doing it since. Well, whenever I get the chance to score, but I just think it's I do need to practice it. I do need to practice it. I ain't got it perfect yet, but I've been able to do it for a while. Yeah, since school days, I'd say.
Well, you've answered the next question from Mike, which was, where did you learn the somersault like that? Which obviously, as you've said, is something that you've been doing since school. I think the thing that really caught me, I was behind the goal, Tyrese, in the town end.
Yeah.
I've never seen someone do a flip like that before, leading with their feet. It literally looked like gravity defying. You just sort of hang in the air as you do it. And I know you said you didn't land it, but I think we'll give you that one last night, just about.
Yeah, the hand saved me. The hand saved me. Did it indeed.
Yeah, but it was au natural, mate. You did it on the run. You get away with it. Away with it. Unlike that charlatan Jack Payne.
I was going to say, we saw a Jack Payne one last year, and Tyrese showed him up.
It's cheating when you use your hands to give you a boost, isn't it?
Yeah, I think you're right, mate. I think you're right. Like I said, you led with your feet. Like I was flummoxed by that, mate. Absolutely flummoxed. But more of that later. In fact, Chris has got one more question in relation to your flip, I think.
Yeah.
Right, this one's from Big Joe, the Duke of Broadbentshire, via WhatsApp.
Yeah.
Did you shit yourself halfway through the flip? I would have.
Nah, not really. I think there's so much adrenaline going through. I don't know, like you're just thinking, I hope I land it on the other side, but you don't really notice it in the moment. There's so much feelings going through. Like, I think even if I landed on my face, I would have just got up and ran straight into the crowd. But nah, I don't really get nervous or anything.
What was it like when you ran into the photographer?
Need to apologize to Carl. To be fair, he's in here. Actually, I
think he's listening.
Yeah, stupidly, I ended up kicking his bag, which I didn't know contained a very expensive camera inside. Which I know he's a bit disappointed in me. So I need to do something to get back into his good books.
I'm sure a beer will help.
Yeah,
Oh,
Callum, if you're listening, these football Callum, just clean him out, mate.
I think it might be a bit more than a beer, to be fair.
Right, well, yeah, enough of that. Ellis, move us on, mate.
Yeah, 2 seconds, sorry. Right, you are in a hot air balloon and it's sinking. You can throw out Hoops or Jonah to save the two of you.
Oh, no way.
Who's plummeting?
I gotta go myself. I can't. Not them two. Nah, I have to go myself. I've got to go. I've got to go.
You're only saying that because you know he's listening.
No, I'm telling you now, I couldn't pick between the two. Both of them are like peas in a pod. I couldn't choose between them. Could not. I'd say myself. Or if someone else was in there, then I'd throw out the other person.
We change it to Steve, Jonah, and Reese Devine. Then you've got a problem.
Yeah, Reese is gone, unfortunately. Yeah, Reese is gone. Yeah, Reese is gone. Yeah, I think he'll understand the decision.
Joe, what you got next?
So the next one's from Abby on Twitter. She's asked, "Who is the best and worst dressed in the squad?"
Oh, I saw this one earlier. I'm still racking my brain, to be fair. The best.
If it's not Matt Baldry,
you know what? Because I haven't been here long. I ain't really got to see, stuff outside of football, like team nights out and stuff, so much as the boys, getting in their own gear. But from what I can say, from what I saw from training, I put the skipper, Angus, he's up there. Another one, shout out to Marcel as well. He just is good. But yeah, I'd say Skip. Skip, comes in fairly tidy every day. Never has a bad day.
I can see that.
Worst, like I said, I don't know who I'll throw under the bus here. I'd definitely say Macca if he was still here, but I don't know if that counts. I don't know who else I can.
Who's most likely to turn up? Who's most likely to turn up to the pub in a town tracksuit?
Ooh. Ellis or Ian Harris.
Oh,
yeah, one of them. Definitely one of them two. One of them two. Yeah.
Right, Chris, you're up next.
Right, Tyrese. This one's from AB on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's can you explain how your move to Swindon came about?
Well, leading from last season, like I kind of knew I'd be out of contract coming in the summer, and I think you like to say supposed scouts and everyone in the football league kind of knows these stuff. And I had a game. I think if I remember, it was against Salford. I think dates back to like around March, April time. And funnily enough, Les Caffrey, I think you all know Les. Les was there. So I had a decent game, and then spoke to him after, and then we kept in touch. So say from like March, April to the end of the season. Obviously, he come down and watched a few of my games and kept tabs on me, and then the decision was made from there. Really, it was a no-brainer for me to join. Obviously, playing against Swindon and seeing how well done last season, just falling short.
So, did you have any other offers on the table from other teams?
Yeah, I did have a few. I had one team in League One, and then the rest come from League Two, and I had one abroad. But yeah, it was a no-brainer. Definitely definitely sparked off from the 5-0 away last season that we lost, and then the last game of the season, just when you got the playoffs.
I was just going to ask, actually, with the 5-0, Tyrese, I mean, how was that game to play, and what are your thoughts, what are your memories from that match? Because, I mean, from a view in the town end, it looks pretty rough from a Walsall point of view.
Oh, yeah, it did, but before the game, going into it, like, we come off a rough period, it was like literally lost 7 games on the bounce, which is like you can't get any worse than that, really. And then new manager came in and whatnot, and then the leading up to that 5-0, we had top of the league, which I think it was Forest Green. We won, and then we had like Tranmere. I can't remember which order it was. Also we beat Tranmere, so it's like 2 games took points off the top 2 teams in the table, and then so it's obviously going into Swindon thinking, you know what, this will be a good game, expecting another result, and then 1 goal goes in, and then we look at half time and we're like 3-0 down, and you're just thinking, what's happened here? It was crazy.
Do you I've said on the show a few times that I think because the county ground's one of the bigger sort of grounds in the league, and we get one of the biggest attendances in the league on average as well. From an away sort of point of view, the teams come to the county ground with a different mindset to go into sort of another team in the division. People sort of describe it as away teams come to the county ground with it sort of being like a mini cup final for them.
Yeah, definitely. I'd kind of agree on that, because when you look at your fixtures and you have an away trip, you kind of look at the teams you play in, and if it's like a smaller ground, you kind of see, there's much to take from this, and the county ground. Whereas you look at the size of the stadium and the fans, it's tough to get points from there, especially when you get the backing and the noise from the fans. It's not an easy place. So yeah, definitely.
Joe, I believe you've got the next one.
Yeah. This is a step down from the serious conversation. So, one from Chris on Twitter. Which do you prefer, McDonald's or Burger King?
It's tough. This. I think it's got to be McDonald's, isn't it? I think it has to be McDonald's.
Yeah. I mean, I accept Burger King burgers, but
Burger
chips.
King. I was going to say that Burger King isn't miles off. The burgers are amazing, but I think overall, you can't go around with a Mackey's.
Yeah.
Ease of access and all that, Tyrese. Ease of access. Well, along a similar vein, Arch on Twitter has said, "What's your preferred cheap meal?" Do you actually have like a cheap meal? Can you, are you able to sort of squeeze that in, Tyrese?
I'd say so. Yeah. Cheap meal. Someone asked me this the other day as well. I said Five Guys. Five Guys for burgers. They're a joke. They're a joke. I would have one every day of the week if I could. But yeah, Five Guys definitely.
The chips at Five Guys are awful.
You think?
Yeah, it's a peanut. They taste like nuts. It's a peanut oil, isn't it? Horrible.
You can't go wrong. Freshly baked potato in the store. I'd imagine so, because that's what they say. But yeah.
What's your order? What's your order when you're in Five Guys?
I'd get the medium Cajun fries, because you get a massive portion, don't you? So the Cajun fries, and then I'd double cheeseburger, lettuce, no tomato, and barbecue. Yeah.
Mate, the first time I ever had Five Guys, I'm shameful boast now. I was on a business trip in Detroit. Never seen a Five Guys before in my life, and they literally just kept on piling the fries into this brown paper bag. And I was literally like, mate, like, not being funny. I only want like the medium fries. There's only one of me. Yeah. And he looked at me like I was mad. Like,
that is the medium. That is crazy, isn't it? You have to get like the little portion. It's mad.
Right, we just had a quick live question that's coming from Lauren Sharp, so I'll jump in with this one. Tyrese, Lauren's saying, we've seen your poker face playing with McCurdy on the coach. Have you ever put money on the table?
Yeah, no crazy bets, but I'm kind of new to the card game, so I was on the losing end, to be fair. So I still need to learn how to put on a poker face, and then hopefully it will save me a bit of money.
Who's the best card player, Ty?
Yeah, McCurdy. I think he plays religiously every away trip. So yeah, I'd say he's got the best experience.
I think it was him and Willow, wasn't it? Willow's up there as well.
Yeah, I think Willow's put the cards down this season. He ain't been involved, so I think I'd say that Angus is the best now. But we don't have much players really. So yeah, I'd give it to Skip now. I'd say he's the best. He's up there.
And Macca wears the shades. Like, that's cheating. Macca wears the shades. That's not allowed.
Yeah, you can't read his face. Yeah.
No, it's not on. It's not on. Right, what we got? Chris, you got the next one, mate, I believe.
All right, Tyrese. What's the feeling like now in the dressing room and feeling around the squad with last night being 3 massive points, and that hopefully helps you going ahead into the games coming up?
Oh yeah, definitely. Every game we look to take the motivation and the bounce into the next. Well, we was off today, so I haven't been in to training, but I could only imagine tomorrow the atmosphere and stuff will be, right up there, and going into Doncaster will be like on top of the moon, feeling best we have all season. But like the mood after the game was amazing. I think like it's the best I've witnessed all season, and you can tell like that result was coming for us because we haven't been playing awfully. It's just just fine margins where we ain't took the 3 points. But I mean, now that we got this momentum, hopefully we just keep on improving and getting them 3 points.
What was it like though in the dressing room after the game yesterday? Obviously, win it so late with Jake's winner. That must have been a great experience.
Oh yeah, I think that's one of the best ways to win it. I think that's the first time I've been involved in a like stoppage time winner. But when we came in, it was ecstatic. All the boys, like I've never seen the boys so happy. The feeling, everyone was in the same feeling, and the gaffer and the staff was, everyone was over the moon.
I think, Tyrese, the fans really needed to see that sort of togetherness that you guys showed on the pitch as well. I think that went down really well. There were periods of the game where obviously it was getting a little bit difficult in the stands. I'm sure you guys could sort of sense that out on the pitch. I think certainly speaking from a fan's perspective, from where I was in the town end, that sort of brilliant display of togetherness and unity that I think the coaching staff and the players showed on the pitch was very welcome. It certainly sort of props up a little bit of support of faith, I think, moving forward.
Yeah, definitely, and like, we're a team, and we'll always stick together. We don't throw anyone under the bus, the players or the manager. And now I know the fans have been needing that result, and now hopefully they can stick behind the boys because we're gonna need that. We're gonna need that all season, and you can see when they got behind us, how much it pushed us on to actually get the winner.
Yeah, well, you could see it wasn't like the entire stadium went poisonous, but obviously there was a bit of racket out there.
Yeah.
And I think obviously the winning goal, the nature of the winning goal, and like I said, the display that I think we got the final whistle from you guys as well. I think that sent a very, very loud message from the changing room. Certainly it was heard by my cohort that we're all stood together. So fingers crossed we weren't the only ones that sort of picked up and sensed it. I'll tell you what though, Tyrese, that the next question's a cracker, and it comes from our resident boxer, Ellis. I think he's the only one qualified to ask this question.
Yeah, big question in from Nathan on WhatsApp. Who's winning in a fight, Reed or McDonald?
Oh,
David and Goliath. Wow. I don't know. It'd be a tight one. Reed really might just, get him by the ankles and get a surprise win. But I mean,
Really scrappy.
Yeah, he is. To be fair, guessing off size though, I think you'll have to go with Skip. He's a massive guy, and he's just the size of him. I think I have to give this one to the skipper.
Yeah, the skipper's an absolute slab, isn't he? Let's be honest.
Yeah, really. You don't want to receive a headbutt from him, to be fair. Yeah.
So I've got a question for you. This is from Chris on WhatsApp, Tyrese, and he's saying, Tyrese, you've so far in your career you've played all over. What's your preferred position from your point of view? What is your preferred position?
I've played all over. To be fair, I have to say apart from centre half, I think, and goalkeeper, the only two positions I ain't played. But wide. It's got to be wide left for me personally. Obviously, you've seen yesterday. I like to come inside and try and get shots off, and obviously use my pace to get in behind. So I think I'd go with a wide left.
Wide left it is. Joe, what you got?
Yeah, so next up, one from Mike here on Twitter. He says, did you hear Jakey announce anything directly after his goal, father-related?
Oh, I know what this is about. This goes back to the show last week, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think you asked him to do something. To be fair, there was so much going on. Me personally, I didn't notice anything. But
You were too.
I thought you knee slided.
yeah, I went straight past him like I was the one that scored. But
You were probably attacking cameramen.
oh no, don't start.
I think he was attacking Stephen Jonah.
To be fair, I think I'm banned from being near any cameramen for a while. To be fair, so
I'm sure Mark is
yeah.
going to ban you from the pitch. The number of knee slides you did last night, big man.
Probably. No, to be fair, I don't know. I didn't hear anything. You have to ask Jakey directly.
That's a scandal, right? So yeah, for anyone that wasn't listening to Jakey's interview with us last week on the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge, it turns out Jakey is a closet Drake fan. And so we've proposed he's got a new Trust Me Daddy celebration, which we challenged him to do. And I've heard that there may have been a murmur or two last night, but no, we actually need firm evidence of that. Evidence of that from the boy Jakey. Ellis, you're up next, mate, I believe.
Yes. Since joining the club, are there any unexpected surprises that you're enjoying?
Unexpected prizes. Anything specifically?
I don't think that's a loaded question, Tyrese. I reckon that's just a straight down the line. Is there anything that maybe you weren't expecting from Swindon Town that you've kind of turned up and you've encountered, whether that be facilities or personalities or I don't know, the supporter attitudes? Like, is there anything that's just sort of coming from sort of like left field and has put a smile on your face?
Yeah, well, in terms of like in the club, I didn't expect that our sports science staff to be like at the level they are. Like when I walked in the door, obviously coming from a Premier League club, like you realize how good they are. I was like, it's crazy the amount of detail that goes on into our programs behind the scenes is amazing. You wouldn't think like it's the level we are. It's much higher. So in terms of that, I'd say definitely the backroom physio and strength and conditioning staff. That was a big surprise to me. Obviously, Ricky and the staff.
Yeah, Joe the Cairo et al.
Oh, amazing! Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, he won't follow me on Twitter though, so he's not that amazing.
Oh, don't worry, I'll pull him in and I'll have a chat with him.
Yeah, have a word, mate. Have a word, or he might, he might find himself on the receiving end of a Twitter smear campaign about his medical prowess. But no, we love you, really, Joe. Yeah, it's funny actually. In all serious, Tyrese, everybody said that. Every player that I've spoken to on and off air this year said, look, the biggest thing that they very much appreciate, and I think you can see it in the medical sort of successes that certain players with injuries have enjoyed. I think Matt Baldry was the first one that really stressed it to me. He said, like, the planning around like managing his body. So yeah, it's good to hear you say that. I've got a question for you, Tyrese. So it's another theoretical one for you. So someone has soiled your post-training club lunch. Only Clem, Rob Angus and Sandro are in the room. Who's your lead suspect and why?
Yeah, I'll have to. I don't spend much time with the other two. Obviously, I spend most of my days with Angus. I'll say he's quite sneaky, dodgy type. So I'll go put my finger on Angus. Yeah, definitely Angus.
Right, you are. And just to clarify, are we talking Rob Angus or Angus MacDonald?
Oh, Angus MacDonald. Which Angus?
No. I'm just to be clear, Tyrese, I'm going to edit that clip, and I'm just going to tell our CEO that you've called him a sneaky type.
No. Okay, then. Do I have to answer that again?
Well, to be fair, you've already put it out there, Tyrese. You ruined yourself.
Just go the whole hog, Tyrese, and say Clem.
Oh.
Oh, we've got him, Joe. We've got him exactly where we need him. Right,
on the ropes. Come on, let's finish off.
Right, what was it we were after, Joe? We wanted season tickets next year. We both needed new cars, didn't we?
Match worn shirts, boots,
match worn shirts,
pin pads. Chuck it all in.
Don't worry, Tyrese. We've got you covered under certain conditions.
Okay.
All right, so Chris, you're up next.
All right, Tyrese. Going back to last night again, why did Jake specifically get such a mobbing by that absolutely superb winner he scored by his teammates? And is he already a legend in the dressing room?
Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, everyone loves Jake. You know, he works his bollocks off every day in, day out. So obviously himself and a few boys were probably disappointed him not to start. So coming and seeing him score that, you know, can just show how happy everyone was for him. And I could imagine he's presumably over the moon himself, and he wants to get goals. And just by his hard work and tenacity, he'll get a hat for this season. So yeah.
Hey Tyrese, well you'll never guess who's joined us. So I know your careers haven't crossed paths, but we will take a mini break. But please stay on the line, Tyrese, as I introduce you. The first time you've spoken to the man himself from down under, Charlie Austin. Good morning to you, pal. How are you?
Good morning, mate. Not too bad. You?
Yeah, I'm not so bad, mate. We're basking in the glory, Charlie, of a late winner under floodlights at the county ground. You know that feeling well.
Yes, I do. I did see, actually. Yeah, I see it's a good result. And it's nice to see Johnny back on Johnny scoring, because if you get Johnny playing well, then that's a big part of the puzzle. And Glad's assisting. So, no, look, it was important to win. It was nice to see it was a last minute winner, because when they go against you, let me tell you, they're a nightmare.
I'll tell you what, Charlie, Tyrese, who's on with us tonight. I know you've not met before. Tyrese, Charlie, Tyrese.
All right.
Hey, pal.
So, Charlie, Tyrese scored one of those goals last night. I can actually imagine what your face would have been like if you had scored the goal that he scored last night. How would you describe it, Tyrese?
It wasn't that bad.
Edge of the 18-yard box, Tyrese.
Absolute rocket.
Drilled it low at the keeper, Charlie, and he's gone and done a Massimo Taibbi, isn't he, the keeper?
I've seen that. He was at Southampton, you know. Is it Jack Rose?
Jack Rose, yeah. Jack Rose, yeah, he was.
He was at Southampton for a little bit. He never played but he was at Southampton for a little bit, I'm sure.
He had a decent game, apart from the error, Tyrese. I'm sure you'd agree. Like the scoreline could have been very different if it wasn't.
Yeah, but Mark, you know yourself as a goalie, no one gives a shit if he's had a good game. He's had a stinker, mate. He let him through his fucking legs.
That's a pure striker speaking there.
Yeah, do you know what I love, Charlie? Every single week you come on, and I try my best to be politically correct around, and sort of like, you know, give these lads a little bit back, and you just like, you're not having it. That's the second week on the back like that.
Sorry, mate. I forgot to read the script you give me. Sorry.
But he about 2 minutes in, he pulled off an absolute worldie to deny Jeffcott, and then he goes and does that.
Yeah.
Nice. That was some stop though, wasn't it, mate? To be fair, like literally seconds into the game. That was. I mean, I was behind the keeper. It looked like a big block to me. What did you get pitch side?
What was that?
Sorry, Torres. Just saying about the save itself from Jeffcott last night in the opening seconds. It was an absolute peach, was it not?
Yeah, no, it was. To be fair to him, I know he's let mine in, but he's a decent keeper. I played with him. Funnily enough, he was at Walsall last season, so I kind of know. I know him inside out. Actually, you could have seen in my reaction. I didn't expect it to go in, but I'm kind of glad he gifted me that one to kind of get me going for this season.
Oh, that explains the modest celebration in front of him, then, Tyrese. Like, very, very sportsman of you.
Did you ping him a DM after the game, Tyrese? Did you ping him a text?
Oh no, I don't think he'd reply, even if I did. To be fair, but he's fuming.
Charlie, Tyrese has only gone and done a full-on, like, you know, sort of like feet first backflip right in front of the keeper after he's meg nutsed him.
Lovely.
You don't like goalies, do you, Charlie?
Who wants to be in goal, mate? Goalies, especially now they all think they can. Especially now, all goalies think they can play with their feet, and they're midfielders, mate. You're in goal for a reason.
Yeah, you're not going to find me arguing with you. But look, you've had so Charlie, you've learned from your experience last week, mate. Unfortunate defeat, but you're on the score sheet. I understand, along with a certain Mr. Dan Zaki.
Yeah.
So obviously Sydney, you guys took the lead, like 3,000.
No, we were shit, mate. No, we were shit.
Oh, were you?
Oh, mate, we were shit, mate. We went 1-0 up. They equalised 2-1. Then we missed a penalty just before half time.
Yeah, which I understand.
No, I never took it. Jay took it because
hit your cross? Was it handball from your cross?
Yeah, but it was never handball.
Oh.
It was one of them shitty 3-yard VAR things.
That's
what they've done. It was harsh. But it's one of them. And then they shot like 70 yards deflection goal, and then they scored in extra time, mate, to be honest. But we had about fucking 70% possession of the ball and just couldn't score. And then I was stood on the halfway line, and when you're playing these games where you're the better teams, you just know something might happen. And I looked back, mate, and I was like, oh my God, they're actually going to score here. They're actually going to score. You can feel it. They went 2 or 3 times. They had a couple of attacks. Then all of a sudden, mate, they scored. And we was like, oh my God. That was the end of that. So the semi-final round, got to the semi-final. I think it wasn't the best feeling in the dressing room, as you can imagine. I fired a few into the Australians. But that's about it. Now we move on now. We've got 4 weeks, or 3.5 weeks till the season starts.
Yeah, so am I right? I think you got Rochdale Rovers on Saturday.
The fuck knows who. I don't even know who they are.
Yeah, that's got non-league opposition written all over it, isn't it? Or sort of like provincial opposition down there.
I don't even know who they are, mate, if I'm brutally honest. It's been so tough because Australia's so big, and because football's like their 4th sport or whatever, they only have 12 like A-League teams. There's you don't really want to play them before the season starts if you can help it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're just trying to fill the void a little bit. But no, other than that, it was all fine, mate. All fine and dandy down my end.
Yeah. What the bloody hell is that in the background? We had this talk of magpies last week. What the hell's that stalking you this week?
I don't know, mate, but I'm worried it could fucking come in. I don't know, mate.
It's getting close.
Honest, I know. I've got my eye on him now, mate. Don't worry about that. I've got my eye on him. But no, other than that, mate, I'm all good, mate. I'm just currently stood outside. What's it, 6:42 here? And there ain't a cloud in the sky, mate. I always say that every week, but there generally ain't. I can't wait until we have these conversations throughout November, December, January, and February, mate. If I'm brutally honest.
Yeah, thanks ever so much. Yeah, while we're all sitting here shivering with unpayable energy bills.
I know. Tell me about it.
Well,
but
listen.
Go on.
No. I was going to say we've got Doncaster at the weekend. Any insights? Any predictions? Do you want to give us a prediction to follow?
Yeah, 2-0. Got to put a run together. Yeah, they've got to start putting a run together. Like I said last week, last minute winner under the lights at home is a good way to start, I guess. Do you know what I mean? So it'd be nice to see them go back to back and win and put a little run together because. Listen, there has been talks of people saying X, Y, and Z about the manager. People say they're just opinions. Do you know what I mean? People saying X, Y, and Z about manager, about the club, and how it's not how it was last year. We can see it's not. But for me, the only way that can change and people stop talking like that is results and winning games of football. So,
yep,
I'm going 2-0 Town, mate.
Well, funny enough, before the game, I said I fancied last night under floodlights at the county ground was going to be the game where it clicked. I didn't quite see that kind of click type performance with loads and loads and loads of slick football, but in large patches, I'm sure Tyrese will probably agree. Well, I hope he would. Large patches, really, really lovely football. But you can still see that the team are gelling. You know, it's still a work in progress. But, you know, Sutton were above the boys in the league. You know, we scored 3 goals at home under floodlights. Yeah, we've let in 2, but, you know, we've got the 3 points in the bag. So I'll make you right, Charlie.
Yeah. But like I said, like before, listen, this is Johnny's second year playing in League Two. He'd want to get out there as quick as possible, but he's some player And if you can get him playing, him and Glad's playing properly, and you've got a couple of goal scorers in the team, Jake scoring again the other day, if Jeff Gott can get off the marks and get going, do you know what I mean? It'll all click. It'll all click. So fingers crossed, mate, for the weekend that they can continue to push forward.
All right, then, buddy. Well, listen, love to the family. We'll let you get on with
Always.
your week. We'll keep an eye out
Can
for
I
you.
ask one more thing, Hannah's?
Go on, mate.
Sorry, Charlie.
Right.
Did you see that last night for MacArthur in the Australia Cup, a 14-year-old goalie made his debut?
Yeah, they put him on like 93rd minute, didn't they? Yeah, because their other goalie. Yeah. No, he only come on for like a minute. But
mate.
he was on the bench because they have a goalie was injured or something. So fair play to their manager, just put him on. Brilliant.
Oh, mate, I didn't know it was last minute, but I saw a picture of him and like the photo I saw, you couldn't even see the crossbar in the photo.
Well, I mean, he is 14.
Well, I know that. But if you're coming
know?
up against him, you're backing yourself to score at least a hat-trick, aren't you? Maybe 6. Double hat-trick.
I'll go one better than that, Charlie. I don't know if you've seen the BBC today, but last night, Glenarvan in Northern Ireland. Northern Irish
13-year-old. Yeah, I've seen it. 13-year-old. They're the youngest player, isn't it?
Yeah, and he made an assist as well at 13 years of age. Like, listen, that's you still got people over there that are full-time pros. That's some achievement, isn't it, as a 13-year-old?
Yeah, as you're not wrong. Anyone getting the opportunity, mate. Anyone getting the opportunity at that age, he must be doing something right. So look, hopefully, long may it continue. However, I'm not sure Swindon are going to roll out a 13 or a 14-year-old anytime soon.
Hey, you say that, Charlie. Listen, we weren't far off, mate. Sam Hart, 15 years old, made his competitive... Sonny Hart, not Sam. Sam won our prize, didn't he, last night? But no, Sonny Hart, son of the one of the fitness chaps. But he came on... I like anybody, you would say, is this a bit of nepotism? Young lad getting an opportunity playing for our football club because, parents are involved in the game or such like. But came on against Woking pre-season, and I mean, honestly, mate, 15 years of age, he was an absolute beast against a couple
he looks about 35.
Oh, mate, he's huge, and has now made his competitive debut. Played against Palace under-21s last week. Very raw, but I'll tell you what, mate, he is going to be some talent. You put another 4 or 5 years on him, he's going to be a baller. So, they're definitely blooding the youngsters, Charlie, in a way that, you're probably not used to at our place. So, keep an eye
out. When I was there, you had to be over 25, mate, other than me, Wardy and Darbs, and that was it.
Yeah, no, exactly that. But listen, Pat,
all right. Go on, mate. Take it steady. Right, all the best for the weekend.
Take good care of yourself.
Go on, pal. See you later, mate. Take care. Bye-bye.
Right, well, listen, let's get Tyrese straight back on the rack. Tyrese, your first experience of Charlie. He's a good boy, isn't he?
I don't know. He seems like a top guy, to be fair.
Yeah.
So imagine, what time is it over
there? He literally peels himself out of bed, and he talks to me over a coffee, straight off the bat. No, he loves it. He's got such an affinity with our club and with our supporters. Still got a home in the area. I think if things had maybe gone slightly differently, we may well have seen him lining up for Swindon this season. But I can honestly say the sole reason that he gives us the opportunity to have a chat every single week is he just loves to keep in touch with all things Swindon. So it sort of forces his arm, but no, he's a good boy. He's a really, really good lad, and hell of a career he's had as well. And you think he's got himself into the England squad as well, multiple moves around the Prem and such like. Yeah, and he's still very humble.
No, it's just a great career. It's what every player wishes for. To be fair, so it's good. It's good to hear from him.
Well, look, Ellis, speaking of sort of like the serious stuff, Ellis has got a really very, very serious Swindon Town question for you, Tyrese.
Yeah, going straight back into the deep end with this question. It's from Max via Twitter. What is your favourite cheese?
I'm not a big cheese head. I'd say I'd just go cheddar cheese. Just cheddar cheese. I think that's the average.
Good.
I'm with you on that one. I'm not a cheese man myself.
There
if it's not blue, it's not worth talking about. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and if it smells, you don't really want it either. Yeah, that's another sign.
Well, there's a certain section of our fan base, Tyrese, that are fascinated by everyone connected with our club's take on cheese. So I'm pleased that we've got that out of you, and it's a good, fine West Country cheddar.
Yeah.
Joe, move us along.
I'll move us along. At least you didn't go for a Frenchy question when no one knew what the cheese was. So, yeah, fair play. So this question's from Mike on Twitter. He's asked, what is keeping the dressing room together? Seems like a real unity despite the results not being there so far. That must have come in before last night because he probably wouldn't ask that before last night. But
No, it definitely didn't, by the way. It came in tonight because obviously we'd only confirmed Tyrese this afternoon. So Mike
true.
come in the Savo.
Okay. Yeah. So what's keeping the dressing room together? What's the dressing room like?
Yeah, I'd say that the staff definitely they're keeping the unity in the group. To be fair, but I'd say like you said yesterday, a lot of it comes from the players. Like we got a lot of experienced leaders in the team, and we also got majority young players. So I'd say the experience from the older experienced ones are gelling, and we know how good we are. So like the reviews, we're not letting that really get to our heads, and we just stick to our game plan, what the gaffer wants us to go out and do really. So I'd say yeah.
Tyrese, sorry mate, we just had a live question flash in from Frazzle. And the only reason I'm skipping away from that is that we've already kind of sort of touched on it. So, Mike, I hope collectively across the show so far we've answered it. Frazzle's asking, who did you idolise, Tyrese, as you were growing up? Who was your football idol?
Kind of the obvious. I'd say Ronaldo. I was a big Ronaldo fan when I was a lot younger. But growing up as a winger, I liked Wilfred Zaha. I wouldn't say I play like him, but he's a player I liked. He's like a typical raw winger. He's very, very direct, and you can see this season he's started off amazingly in the Premier League. So I'm a big fan of him.
Why do you think it didn't work out for Zaha at United, Tyrese? Because clearly he's still getting linked to Arsenal, Chelsea, he's still getting linked to big clubs. But he had the opportunity at United, but it just didn't fire for him. What did you ever have a theory on that?
I don't have a theory on that, but just playing football, like, I could just say, just maybe it wasn't the right time. A lot of people develop at different ages. You see young players playing at a high level. You see players peak at 25, 26. So I'd probably just say it might have not been the right time. And as he's developed at Palace, I can see him as a wide player. Getting into most teams in the Premier League, definitely.
Gotcha. Hey, look, Tyrese, we're entering the anchor leg of your questions now, mate. So we're almost there. Chris, you've got the next one, I believe.
Yes, I do. Tyrese, who was your best friend within the Swindon squad?
Cool.
You're going to have to choose between Marcel and Reese, and I'm sure they're both listening. Good luck, pal. Good luck, pal.
Yeah, they are. I'd say both of them. Obviously, Reese I spent the majority of last season with, so we automatically had a good relationship. And Marcel, since he's coming, we just get along perfectly.
Yeah.
So yeah, both of them.
Oh, that's such a splinters in the bum question now. I'll get me tweeters out. We'll see you in a couple of weeks. We'll give you that one. Seeing as you're still a new boy. Joe, you got the next question, I believe?
I do, yeah. So this one looks like it's anonymous, but it just says, describe Swindon Town in 3 words.
Oh. Tough one. You could have told me to prepare for this one. Swindon in 3 words. Trying to think now. Mine's gone blank.
I quite like the idea of we're going up.
Yeah, I like that one. I was mainly thinking of three different words. But if I can use that, definitely. I said that a fan asked me yesterday, and I was all over screaming. It's definitely something that the whole team are buying into this season, and I hope the fans think the same, because we definitely think that's achievable.
I mean, that really is the kind of chat behind the scenes, Tyrese, isn't it? And everyone that we have spoken to, they've all kind of like unerringly said that. Now, I appreciate, like, from a sporting point of view, positive mental attitude and all of that, but the recurring themes are like, we've got quality in this squad. It's going to click. We're going up. Like, there's just this bullish, and I think we've just heard Charlie there sort of providing a sort of an outsider perspective on it as well. That, obviously there's, people from outside the club can see the quality. They can associate quality. They can see the likes of Willow, the likes of Gladders. You've got like proven quality from further up the, from further up the leagues. Quick question that's coming from Steve Curtis, Tyrese, is what's the quickest you've ever done 100 meters?
Oh, I don't think I've timed myself since, like I say, going back to school, but I think it was like 12 seconds, just under. It was a long time ago. I used to do a lot of athletics in school. So yeah.
Would you describe yourself as fast, Tyrese? Because you've got one of those sort of running styles. You're very similar to Gladders, that you can cover ground, but your running style. I mean, I used to, an old friend of mine used to play in goal for Gillingham, a lad called Jason Brown. Sorry, my mind, ex Welsh international. And Jason was saying that his physique, from a viewpoint of the stands, he used to get a lot of feedback from scouts that they didn't think he was as tall or as athletic as he actually was because of his build and his general gait. You've got a running style that a friend of mine said, I'm not sure whether, like, I can't work out whether he's quick or not, but he said it's only when you stand back, you see the amount of ground you're covering, that you realise that you are quick. How would you describe yourself in the pace stakes?
Yeah, I'd say I'm very quick. Like I was gonna say, I could show you my stats. I'm always like near after we get our stats after the game. I'm always like at the top. And I was gonna say, like, you touched on, tall players don't kind of really seem to, if you see a small player that's quite nippy, they'll really say like he's quick. But with tall people, they don't kind of realize it. But yeah, like, I do have long strides and I do cover a lot of ground.
Yeah. Yeah, so deceptive, Tyrese. Like, absolutely deceptive. I only wish that I could empathise. What we got next? So we've got I've got a question for you, Tyrese. Sorry. So this has come from Darren on WhatsApp, and Darren says, Tyrese, when Scott Lindsay gave the squad extra time off over the weekend, did the squad go and do social things together, or was it a case of head back home with two friends and family?
Yeah, no, it was more of a, we didn't do a get together. It was more of a go back home, because like, we got a lot of players who are from quite far out in the sticks, quite far from each other. So yeah, I think everyone went back to their respective families over the weekend, and worked quite well, considering we got a result. We got a result last night, so hoping the gaffer sees that and gives us some days off.
Indulges you some more.
Yeah.
Right, you might want to keep a smile on your face for this next one. Chris, you're up.
All right, Tyrese. this is your chance to endear yourself to us Swindon fans. Cackle if you hate Oxford.
Yeah.
I thought it was Port Vale.
Well, yeah. But there's priorities, Tyrese.
Yeah.
Priorities. Mick on Twitter, I hope that answers your question. I think we'll also have to crop that one on the media edit as well and push that one out, along with Tyrese's slating of our CEO. Don't think we've forgotten, Tyrese.
No. You're putting words in my
mouth. Ellis, you've got the next one.
Yes. Right. For 20 Great British pounds to the donation of a charity of your choosing, have you completed an initiation song, and are you going to sing it for us now?
Oh, I'm happy to make a donation. I don't know about the singing. I did sing, actually. I did sing.
What song?
Come on, Tyrese. We're all friends here.
Didn't we see it on Willow's Instagram story?
I think you would have. Yeah, I did sing. It was.
Can we get a live rendition?
I don't have. I did bring my auto tune set up with me.
Don't disappoint us.
Such a diva, Tyrese.
I've got to say, if Jonah was here, he'd be like a ferret up a drain pipe. Any opportunity to sing, he's right there, Tyrese. And like I said, we've got money burning holes in our pockets for the charity of your choosing, Tyrese, right this second. In fact, we'll go so far as to say this, we'll up the stakes. What do you reckon, boys? Should we double it and go 40 quid?
Let's go 50.
50 quid, there you go. Like 50 quid for a charity you're choosing. And all we need is one verse.
I'm not agreed to this.
And if he doesn't sing it, we're going to have to get Gabs on to do it for him.
Yeah,
that's true.
Can we get Hoops to try and locate Jonah or someone to do it for me?
Oh my god! Well, I don't know. We're going to have to think of a forfeit here. Like we really are. Like I don't like to put the new boy.
I'll do a forfeit. I'll do.
Can we ask for a certain celebration with your next goal?
Yeah, of course.
Come on, boys. Let's think of a celebration for Ty's next goal.
Oh, that's quite straightforward. I think you've got to do the "Trust Me, Daddy" Jakey Wakelin. I think you and him have got to do something along the lines of "Trust Me, Daddy," the slap away at the town end. I think that's what you got hit us with.
Okay, so like a duet, then both of us do.
Yeah, stand there side by side, big slap. "Trust Me, Daddy," bash it away.
Okay, then that sounds like a deal.
and we'll take a signed shirt as well, Tyrese, to auction off as well. But listen.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. No, that's fine.
We're putting professional powers to pressure here. It's not good. We're abusing power.
Poor old Hoops is now spitting feathers because he's only got so many shirts. But sorry, Hoops. Like all he had to do was sing a verse. Hoops. That's all he had to do. Your man's let us down. All right, Tyrese, we'll give you a pass. As I say, we're right down the bottom end of the anchor leg now.
Yeah.
Where are we? I've got the next one for you. So Tyrese, there's a photo of you from the new kit launch, and you're absolutely cracking up, holding the football in your hands. What was the backstory?
It was. You know what? I don't know how to say it. Well, like the backdrop for the photo shoot wasn't. I'd say I'm fairly tallish. Like putting the ball over my head, it didn't fit into like the frame, so we had to like go on our knees and do it. And I was struggling, and like the boys behind the camera was just giving me loads, battering me because I couldn't balance the ball in my head on my knees. So that's where that laugh is come from.
So it wasn't you're not just like like your typical catalogue models like cackle that you've got that in the armoury like that.
No, that was genuine. That was 100% genuine.
All right, Chris. This is a good one.
All right, Tyrese. This is from some lad called Callum who sent us a question via WhatsApp, and he wants to know, why did you kick my camera bag?
Oh no. Well,
and that is him as well, Tyrese. He is listening.
I like that. Some kid called Callum. I don't know what I thought the bag was, but I saw it and I just something said just smash the bag, but I didn't. I regret now because I didn't know what was in there. And obviously a lot of damage has been done since that silly decision of mine. So Callum, I'm sorry, and can you reply to my WhatsApp now, please?
Tyrese, I've got to say,
I've been waiting a long time.
Is Tyrese being aired?
Yes, I am.
Oh no.
Tyrese, I've got to say, there is a wonderful moment where you just sort of realise it's almost like someone's got hold of you and you're desperate to get over to him. And what did you whisper into his ear?
I said, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But I don't think he realised the damage that had been done at the time, even. So I think he was oblivious to it, kind of. So yeah, it did. The grief didn't come till after the game.
Oh,
and he showed me
the
broken
country.
camera.
Just get Clem on it. It's not expensive.
Yeah, hopefully I can get an invoice sent over to him. I hope.
Get the fragments of the lens back down to Don Rogers' shop. Get him to mount it on a big wooden plinth. That'd be a lovely trophy for the rest of his career. Don't you worry. I'm sure he'll find a way through. So your penultimate question, Tyrese, is from Ellis.
Right. What is your funniest fan encounter to date?
Funniest fan encounter to date. I probably say yesterday. A fan asked for my gloves, and normally I'd probably give them away, but I think I bought them like an hour before the game, so I was kind of reluctant to kind of give away a pair of gloves that I literally just bought. So unfortunately, I didn't give them to him. But if he asks again, I remember I'll bring a pair. I'll bring a pair next game for him. I haven't forgotten him. I'm speaking to him over on Instagram, so I ain't forgotten.
Why do you want gloves? I understand the shirt, but gloves? Why?
I don't know.
That's somebody wanting to use those, isn't it? Let's be honest. That's someone wanting. That's no souvenir. That's someone after a freebie. I think one of my favourites on the show today. I think Rashawn Hepburn Murphy sort of remotely said last week. One of his favourites was he was on. I think he said he was on loan at Tranmere. He said he was just about to take a corner, and I think he just scored just prior. And he said the Tranmere fans ran out the stand, ran over to him, and like gave him the biggest kiss. And he said all he remembers was literally seeing security throw this geezer back into the stand.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we might do something similar to you, pal. It gets a bit fruity in the town end.
Well, to be fair, I thought you were just on about this season, but I thought you were just on about the Swindon fan encounters. But I'd probably say in the cup game when we had Walsall, I think I tried to do a Cruyff turn in our own half, and it went out for a corner, and then there's a picture of me and the Walsall fans in the back, and I think there's about 500 of them just giving me the wanker hands, which is unexpected because before I left, there was kind of loved me, wanted me to sign, and I didn't get that. So I've looked at the picture, and there's funny one. It's a front row. It's like a lad with a pram, not even paying attention to his kid that's in the pram. He's too busy throwing fingers at me, and he's probably only about 18, and it's hilarious. I'll send you the picture over, but I'll probably say that photo.
Oh, please do tweet that. Please do tweet that, Tyrese, on the tweet that we put out for the show, mate. Please do attach it to that. Make sure everyone sees it. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah.
Right, I've got your final question, Tyrese. You've been a brilliant sport, and your final question comes from Ashley on WhatsApp. And Ashley says, Tyrese, what is your most treasured football memory to date?
I'd probably say my first professional goal, because it come from it was Newport away, and it was one which my mum doesn't really go to away games. My family they will come to home games, but they usually don't travel away. And funny enough, they came, and then I scored equaliser to bring it to 1-1, and that was coming into my first professional season and my first professional goal. The feeling I had, I probably say I ain't felt like that since that. Getting the first goal is just over the moon, best feeling, and especially in front of the family, which is couldn't ask for anything more. I'd probably say that definitely.
Oh, magical, yeah, particularly in front of the family. And when those sort of moments happen, Tyra, a bit like last night. I mean, we spoke off air earlier today, and you were telling me that the flip was just something that just happened, like you just felt compelled to do it. Is it literally just sort of like instinct takes over and you just ride the moment, or can you plan around it, or what? I'm guessing you give me the impression you're a very instinctive personality in that respect.
Yeah, you can plan around it, but like I said yesterday, it's just literally just instinct. It's a thing where this feeling comes, and then you just gotta go and ride with it. So yeah, definitely instinctive. Like I said, I think that's probably my best celebration, but it's not like I've done it every time I've scored. So yeah, it's just off the cuff, when I'm feeling it.
Well, mate, you've already, I think, put yourself well on the top podium at the moment for the Great Levitating Men of Town Award at the end of the season. Which, so congratulations. One of the more bizarre photos that I've seen of a Swindon Town player, airborne. But
it's never getting beaten, is it?
Can I get that award now? Is that right?
Mate, it's in the post. Don't worry.
Tyrese, are you aware who won it last season?
Payne?
No.
Oh, who was that?
It was Ben Gladwin last season. Now,
Wow.
I'll tell you what, Tyrese, when you
Let's not go into this. Actually, no, it's past 9 o'clock. Let's do go into it.
Well, let's just say that you remember when Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather.
Yeah.
And you'll remember there was a particular moment where Conor McGregor had sort of whipped himself up into a state of arousal.
Yeah.
Well, that's all we're going to say is that there's a shot, and Hoops will fill in the blanks.
Did Gladwin just turn into McGregor?
The boys couldn't understand it, so we had. I'm trying to remember who was there. There was Payne, there was Reedy, Macca was in there, Josh
Davison.
Hunty was in there as well, and they couldn't work out why Payne hadn't won it. Payne was absolutely gobsmacked. When we kind of politely explained, because we're before the watershed, why Gladders had won it, and they've actually looked at the photo. None of them realised how
funny it was until it was compared to
the
other photo. I could imagine
he was just very, 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 very happy to have scored a goal.
So Tyrese, we will attach that photo, Tyrese, of Reedy's reaction when the penny drops. It's a moment to behold, and I'm sure it's a very proud moment for Gladders as well. To be fair, because we were all impressed. It's fair to say.
Yeah.
Very impressed.
But look, Tyrese, you've been an absolutely brilliant sport, mate. Those are your questions. How was that for you?
Oh no, it was great, and kind of glad I got this done now. So I enjoyed it. It was lovely.
Well, listen, don't be a stranger, Tyrese. You'll see plenty of us around the ground on match days. Please come back on the show on a Wednesday night at some point during the season. Let us know your thoughts, how the season's progressing, how you're getting on personally. And yeah, we're always around on Twitter, mate, enjoying the banter with you. So yeah, we look forward to developing the relationship as things unfold moving forward.
Yeah, definitely. Me too. No, it was great. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right, then, buddy. Well, listen, you're free to go, Tyrese. We're not going to hold you to it. We've got a little bit of any other business to tie into, but you're more than welcome to sort of like hang on and listen. But we're not going to badger you of any more questions, mate. We release you back to the audience.
Cheers, Hannah. Thank you.
Hey, no worries. Take good care of yourself, Tyrese. Thanks again, pal.
You too. Bye bye.
Bye bye, mate. Well, Joe, Ellis, Chris, he didn't disappoint, did he?
He did.
Oh, it was brilliant, wasn't it? It was brilliant.
What a boy. What a boy. What a great character. Didn't dodge any of the questions. And sincerely, like those questions have come in. We say this at the start of every show, but no matter what questions get asked, there's always someone willing to put the boot in and say, oh, why didn't you ask this question? Why didn't you ask that? Well, the reason we didn't ask those questions, mate, was you didn't submit them. So the questions that have been read have all been submitted. And some of them have been contributed. We've beefed up some of them from us, or we've added an extra bit of weight to some of the questions from ourselves because they're kind of in the right area. But all the questions are, fundamentally are from you guys, from the audience. So Tyrese was very, very clear with me beforehand. He went, you ask me whatever you like, mate. He said, like, I'm not shying away from it, and that has been the consistent theme with the boys from the dressing room this year.
Just to say, I think this year the dressing room, as you mentioned, all the boys that have sort of got involved have been so open before the games, haven't they? They come up to us and said, no holds barred, let's let it all hang out, and yeah, they've been amazing, haven't they?
I think there's clearly. I think last season it was a very different environment in terms of what was what the performance side of the club was allowing to be communicated outwardly. I think, it's clearly. I mean, they've spoken openly. It's no secret, is it? They've spoken openly this season about wanting to, be a little bit more open. I think the gaffer's all in favour of that, and it's interesting because the gaffer has openly said himself that he's not, media trained to the hilt. Media is something that he's got to learn, and he's not been, he's not been able to avoid critics this year because of, some of the gaffer's performances in the media. But I think having spoken to the gaffer off air as well as on air, I can say that obviously what we see on camera is like, literally him being genuine. And there's part of me that is I'd much rather see that sort of genuine delivery, as frustrating as it might be in some respects. I'd much rather see that genuine delivery than get a load of cliches and sound bites.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, like literally, it's refreshing. And I was about to say long may it continue, but I don't want to slip into football cliches. But hey, so we're Yes, SM1 indeed. Players were approaching. What a wonderful. Right, Joe, you're going to have to explain this. So, SM1 has just tweeted. Where is it? It just flashed up on my screen. SM1 has just tweeted and said, Joe, players approaching you pre-match and saying, "Let's let it all hang out." Is there something we don't know about? Well,
that's just Ben Gladwin, but other than that, I might have exaggerated.
By the way, what do you guys have got? If you haven't, I've got the photo. We need to get that photo up online.
Can we just say as well, we love Gladders, and we just love that photo. So it is what it is.
Well, Reedy loves that photo as well. Reedy loves that photo of Reedy's reaction, as well as he loves the photo of the celebration against Scunny. It was Scunny, wasn't it?
Yeah. Find me. Was it Scunny or was it Rochdale?
No,
it was Rochdale. Scunny was like the first game of the season. It was definitely Rochdale.
Yeah, it was Rochdale. Yeah.
Well, I'm going to beg to differ with you boys. I'm going to beg to differ, but I'm not going to pull rank. I'm not going to be that.
Well,
I might be wrong.
He was in the yellow.
Rochdale then.
Yeah, back off.
Chris, we'll stand down.
See, man knows his onions. Man, oh no, Hoops is chipping in. So Hoops has messaged me and said it was Bristol Rovers. Well,
we're all wrong.
We're all wrong.
We're all wrong.
We know nothing. Let's end the show now. Let's do our research and we'll come back better.
Thanks, Hoops. That's very, very kind of you. We're going to try and. I don't think you're right, Hoops. Though I don't think you're right. But anyway,
I don't think it was first game of the season, so I think we can write Scunthorpe off.
Well, all right. Like I said, I beg to differ. Might have to get Dan Designs on because he was the one that did the print for the award. And I'm sure Dan. All I would say is, I think Dan was a little generous with the pencil, shall we say?
Well, I'm seeing Dan on Saturday, so I'll ask him.
Yeah, ask him about his pencil generosity. Oh, hello. Hoops has sent me a picture saying that it was definitely against Rovers. All right, so let's see what we've got here. Let's see what we've got here. As he just excuse me while I jump into. Oh, he's right. He's only right, and it is. Oh, there it is in all its splendour. It was Rovers. Yes, Rovers penalty, pissing down with rain is what's been said to me. And yes, you're right. I back down. I apologise.
Well, let's move on from Gladder's appendage, and we'll carry on.
And Dan Designs pencil. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Let's do that. So, listen. I mean, look, we had a whole show dedicated to it. By the way, that's been listened to 2,500 times. Thank you ever so much, Swindon Town fans, for tuning in to our post-match show last night. Obviously, Swindon. We'll give it 5-10 minutes. Swindon 3, Sutton 2. So. Swindon maintained our 100% record, which had basically been constructed by 3 previous 2-1 wins. One back in 81, one in 2021 and 2022. And yeah, fair to say we flew out the traps, as we talked about with Tyrese. With Luke Jeff got really, really unlucky in not scoring the opening goal for Swindon, pulling an absolute wonder save from that Jack Rose, who Shady did a brilliant job in humiliating about half an hour later. But clearly we were sucker punched for their equaliser. The curse of the old boy struck as Will Randall banged one in after 4 minutes. We talked with Tyrese, obviously, about his goal. Absolute clanger from Rose on 35 minutes as Tyrese Shade hit the equaliser. Very pleasing to see aforementioned Ben Gladwin assisting without the need of a pencil or otherwise. And then Town took the lead. So, yeah, lovely bit of tidy build-up play. Some nifty footwork from Luke Jeffcott, managing to lay the ball back to Johnny Williams, who's rifled one in at the top left-hand corner, if you stood behind the goal, where I was in the Town end. And then we thought it was going to be glory pie there afterwards. And in 42 minutes, Will Randall has taken advantage of our midfield being utterly outmuscled and has managed to finish past Solbrin with a cute finishing at the bottom right-hand corner. But a largely dreadful second half where Sutton were pretty agricultural. Substitutions Swindon made were greeted with boos. There were reports of fans and management exchanges, and there are reports of our skipper having words with certain dissenters, shall we say, in the Town end. But the squad gave it a perfect response. Jake Wakeling coming off the bench to secure all 3 points. A lovely header out jumping absolute monstrous Sutton defenders, with Fraser Blake Tracy on the assist with a pinpoint cross from just in front of the Arkles. So, I mean, listen, boys, it was a difficult one for us, wasn't it, after the game? It's fair to say we were all largely speechless. I was just going to pose this question. Did we get out of jail? Was it a get out of jail result? Or was it a case of the result that matters? We seem to show far more attacking intent moving forward than we have pretty much all season. So do we just run with that and we say we're happy with it? Because we struggled, didn't we, to get going? I mean, like I said, 2,500 people have listened to the show. I think it was the last counting. We had about 2,800 listens to our show last night. So clearly people have been listening to it in its entirety. But we struggled to get going, didn't we? We were all sort of pumped after the game. We weren't quite sure where to sort of pin our flag.
I think.
Mate,
Go on, Joe.
Sorry, Chris, you go on, mate.
I was going to say, I think ahead of the game, for me, the most important thing there was to win. And obviously we needed that with the performance, but I thought there's so many draws and whatnot, but we just needed to win that game to get some confidence going. And obviously we saw signs in the way that we played, and a lot that looked a lot better, but we still looked so vulnerable at the back, and the gaps between defence and midfield is a bit worrying.
It's weird, isn't it? Because obviously I watched the game with you, Hannah, yesterday, and we did the show after the game. We sort of started it off by being a bit like, well, a win's a win. You've got to take it for what it is, but we're still a little bit disappointed. But looking at the stats, we dominated possession. We had more shots on goal. We had a higher XG. By that, you've got to say we deserve to win. Just on paper.
I think we were the better side last night. I think looking at watching the game, if it was a boxing match, we would have won on points.
Yeah. They were there for taking, weren't they? They weren't great.
Yeah, for sure. Like our defense, like Chris said, we were very shaky in defense, but going forward, we had good spells in that. I think both teams' defense wasn't probably up to scratch last night, and I think that showed in the scoreline.
Well, was it? I mean, yeah, I think for me, I think particularly in the first half, there were long periods of long periods. There were multiple patches of really, really nice football. Ben Gladwin hit an absolute sumptuous 50-yarder to feet. Like some of our first touches were just class above League Two. Charlie mentioned earlier, we were talking to Charlie Austin earlier about Johnny Williams, but I mean, literally, there were points last night where it was like he was playing the game in his slippers, and I don't mean as in he was falling over because he had no studs, but I literally mean his first touch was like he had moccasins on, like absolutely
Mate, I think
beautiful.
Hoops and Jonah must mess around with his boots and wax super glue on them.
I mean, it literally was. It was super. I mean, you had Marcel Lavinier sort of overlapping down the right-hand side. That looked really slick. You could see like those patterns of play developing. I think the concern for me was that we were seeing lots of lovely touches and football from Ronan Darcy, but it appeared to me that Sutton, I don't know whether they were consciously targeting him, because physically he was sort of significant. He's a very, very different beast. He was a technician, versus it was a Ferrari versus a bloody combine harvester, wasn't it? Let's be honest. In terms of the matchups in the midfield, and for me, I think that's where their second goal came from. Some of those mismatches just weren't working out. Interesting, you talk about gaps between the midfield, Chris, and the defence, because one of the constant themes that seems to have come up in the sort of 24 hours since has been commentary around have we got different tactical instructions going into Louis Reed this season, as in getting forward more, supporting the attack more, as opposed to just sort of literally sitting in front of two centre backs. And interesting where the second goal came from last night. Literally, I had a fella stood right next to me and said Reedy would have been stood there last season. So, I mean, me personally, I got to be honest, I'm just happy that we've got Reed in a Swindon Town shirt. So I don't see the need to be kind of like drilling into it and looking for inquests. And there's been a lot of conversations about, Reedy's form this season versus previous seasons. For me, it's always going to be a question of, form is temporary, class is permanent. But have any of you guys noticed any, sort of tactically, a very, very distinct kind of change in where Reedy is popping up this season?
Not so much that as well, but I would actually thinking I would like to see Reed play a little bit further forward. And I know it's probably a bit of a pipe dream, but having obviously with the window being shut, but having a more solid defensive midfielder, or even dare I say it, Jordan Lydon, who I don't say Johnny Leafield did tweet to say that he is still training at the club, despite some people saying that he left. I think if we play him in that role, because he's that bit more of that combative type player, and I think we can get more out of Reed further up the field.
Yeah, well, listen, I mean, you're going to be asking less of Jordan Lydon, aren't you? Sort of, if we've got him sat in front of the back four, I just wonder, that the gaffers wanted us to show more attacking intent, more fluidity in attack. That's going to require you getting bodies forward. If we're going to be pressing them in their final, in the attack, our attacking third, their defensive third, we're going to have to get bodies forward, aren't we? I mean, what's really interesting is PCM's got just tweeted. It's all about a bit similar to you, Chris. Parody Clem Morfuni. Good evening, bud. He said it's all about the result last night. The win was simply a must. How we played didn't really matter, although the game was a more entertaining affair than I first thought it was going to be. I would agree with you, PCM, in terms of number of goals. I thought the second half was absolutely dire, and that's what I think led to a lot of frustration in the stands. Like, we just couldn't really get as fluid as we would like to have been in the first half. So yeah, listen, I cast my mind back to Sutton last season. I thought we came out the traps brilliantly at their place, but the second half kind of went a little bit like it went last night, and it all got a bit agricultural, and we were ultimately defending big bombs into the box. So I'm kind of with you both, really, Chris and PCM. I think, for me, it was like, I mean, Joe, actually, interesting point. You and I were talking before the game, weren't we? I just said that every time we concede a corner or a free kick in our defensive third, I get this horrible queasy feeling, and I have done for about the last 3 or 4 years. We didn't have, or was it just me? It didn't seem like we were defending as many big bombs into the box like that. As in Dean Bouzanis, like launching them in from the halfway line. It didn't seem, that wasn't the kind of game that I ended up watching.
No, I think, there was obviously quite a few corners that were, whenever, especially in the first half, or no, sorry, it was the second half they were attacking the south end, wasn't it? Second half, some of the corners were getting whipped in quite sort of low and hard, and you look sort of man for man, they were about 2 feet taller than most of our players. I think, thankfully, a lot of the balls were a little bit just, I don't know, too rushed. Maybe they were just sort of lacing it with no real accuracy. Having said that, I think Angus defended the front post really well. Him and sort of Tom were fairly competent at dealing with the long balls. Yeah. I think when you play Will Randall up top, he was sort of almost playing in a front two with Omar Bugiel. And obviously Will Randall turned out to be their danger man. Probably could have told you that before the game. As you said, Hannah's, ex-players score against Swindon. It's just the way it is. Always has been, always will be.
Let's spend a couple of minutes talking about Omar Bugiel endearing himself to the town. If you're
going to pick do you know what? I don't want to defend the guy too much, but some of the things that some of the gestures he was giving back to town fans, specific town fans that were giving him some grief, kind of had to laugh at. Like, he's done well as a professional footballer on the pitch. He's handled it, in my eyes, with some humour. So fair play. We won 3-2. We got 3 points out of him. I don't care if he's angry or not, but he handled it well.
Right. So, right. I mean, like I said, ultimately we're playing Sutton United. It's never going to be a beautiful spectacle. It was always going to be a clash of styles. Joe, we were fairly confident, weren't we, before the game? You and I were talking about we expect to see a lot of goals, and it delivered, didn't it, in that respect? Yeah. And I think, obviously, Tyrese has been very open about, the fortunate nature of his goal. But our other two goals, both crackers, weren't they? Johnny's finish from Luke Jeffcott's sort of cutback, and the header from Fraser Blake Tracy's cross. I mean, Jakey Wakes did so well, didn't he? Getting in between the two centre backs, glancing it right in the bottom corner. The keeper had no chance, did he?
No, it was one of those ones. It was like, I said after the game as well, Blake Tracy, I think I've been really, really impressed with him. He's probably one of the first things in January that I'm sort of looking to address in terms of giving him a permanent contract. It was mentioned that he is actually out of contract in May next year, with no option. So, do we risk getting him on a free in the summer, or do we try and get a cut price deal with Burton in January? He's been class, and that ball was literally on the money. That back four, I mean, all of them were over 6 foot, probably edging towards 6'3", 6'4", and for Jakey to get the money ball like literally on his head and to put it where he did, it was the one place that he could put the ball to score a goal into the ground, side netting. It was just perfect, and
yeah.
I mean, we've said it a million times so far this season. Jake Wakeling has been just the shining light, and not only is he the darling of the fan base, but like his effort. I don't know how he does it. Like, I'm not too sure how he's managed to not burst a lung playing for Swindon this year, because he's just been unreal.
I did actually mention in our WhatsApp group that when the window was open, that I really hoped that we would sign Blake Tracy, because I've been so impressed with him. And it's like, well, that cross there, Wakeland didn't have to jump. It was just perfect for him. All he had to do was just position himself.
Mate, he's put it on his head in between two 6'3" defenders.
Yeah.
Like, it's perfect.
It was inch perfect, and I think, listen, Fraser Blake Tracy, particularly in some of his early interviews, I think he's made it quite clear that he wants away from Burton. So I think something pretty seismic would have to happen, and I mean, who knows? They haven't, it's not like our club have come out and talked about an option that we've got to make that deal permanent in the way they have this week with Luke Jeffcott, obviously, which obviously was good. It's brilliant news. It's been received fantastic well. But yeah,
one thing that worries me with Blake Tracy is that now that Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank's left Burton, does a new gaffer come in and be like, right, okay, January hits, let's have a look at our options. We've got some players out on loan. We'll bring them back, have a look. Yeah, I mean, that's loan players, isn't it? Sol Bryn's on loan, and we all love Sol, but a loan's a loan.
Yeah, but then, listen, all I would say to that is another boy whose name's been mentioned quite a lot tonight. Well, I'll give you two names. One is obviously Reece Devine. Tyrese has talked a lot about him. Joe, you and I saw him at Woking. We were both impressed that day. There's a small matter of kind of someone that is going to be like a new signing when he eventually comes back. Ellis Iandolo, of course.
Yeah, that's to say, him and Ellis. Even like someone like we've not seen massive amounts of Tommy Adeloye. If he comes back from injury, we've got kind of a squad behind the squad of technically new signings. We've got obviously Rush coming back. We haven't seen Morgan Roberts. We've got so much to add to this squad.
Yeah.
In the coming weeks, I think it's exciting.
So, I mean, listen, from my perspective, I think let's just all remember why. Let's just clarify. I'm a huge Fraser Blake Tracy fan. I really am, and I think he's a must sign, because I think he gives us opportunity. He gives us options at centre back. He gives us options out wide. For me, I just think it's a no-brainer. But let's remember, the reason we signed him was because we lost Devine. We lost Iandolo. Devine is on his way back. So's Ellis. If he was to be recalled and those two boys are fit, then that's all part of the master plan, as Oasis once said. So let's be happy with that. I think with Jake Wakeling, it was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, boys, obviously we had the show live from the county ground last night. we had really talked up Jake Wakeling off the back of our show that we did with him last week. For those of you that haven't heard it, haven't listened to it, just go through our Twitter timeline. We are in the process. Mike's in the process of getting our podcast platforms game back up and running again after a little bit of hiatus, and getting it back up on YouTube as well. But the Jake Wakeling interview was fantastic. Very, very similar delivery as to what he gave on YouTube yesterday in terms of his unerring levels of honesty. Challenging the fans, calling the fans out. And I think we were hoping, Joe, weren't we, before we saw the lineup last night, that we were going to see him and Jeff got in a front two or a front three. So we were sort of surprised that he's ended up being on the
that's
bench.
really where that's where the reaction came from, wasn't it, with the substitution? We've not spoken about it yet, I don't think, but the booing for the substitution with Jeff coming off and Jakey coming back on, I said to you at the time, I was really, really surprised. I didn't actually clock. I thought people were booing for Luke, and it really, really took me back a little bit. Until you mentioned, obviously, it was just the idea of not having Jakey and Luke on the pitch at the same time. But as the gaffer said in his post-match, Jeff hasn't played a 90 minutes game this season. It's not his legs. He's not got that in his locker. The idea was to take him off for 70 minutes. Obviously, we took him off for 60 because the game went flat, as he said, and it did. Like we didn't create any chances of note from probably half time until the 70th minute for a clear-cut chance. And rightly or wrongly, if the gaffers reacted in a way that's, provoked some fans or whatever, I've said it on socials today, he's probably right in doing so, or he's at least justified. We'll see Luke and Jake up top together at some point, I'm sure.
Oh, without a shadow of doubt. I mean, Ellis, you were at the game as well with us last night. Not with us. You were you had a different vantage point to where we were. But literally, Sutton couldn't handle Wakeling, could they? You could tell he was in and amongst them. He was clearly the boy's developing a reputation. They were terrified of him, wasn't he? I think his work rate, his hassle, his harrying. He
just doesn't stop, does he?
But you put yourself in the shoes of, 2 6'3", 6'4" centre backs. You suddenly got this little wasp buzzing around you, for the last sort of 10, 15, 20. That's the last thing you need, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the fact that he's ended up getting the jump on the pair of them and guiding that sort of, if you're the gaffer, you feel utterly vindicated by that, don't you? Utterly vindicated by it. It just didn't faze Jakey either. There was no mention of any disappointment of being dropped from the starting lineup.
No.
Professional, wasn't he? What did you make of Wakeling, Ellis?
Well, yeah, I think he got that spot on then. Just a all-out good performance from him when he come on. I was shocked when the lineup come out last night that he wasn't starting, but I think it was a good decision looking back on it now. But I would quite like to see them both play up top together, sort of like a Doyle and Yates sort of pairing, if you like. But yeah, Wakeling's one of those players that, if you've got him on the bench, if he's coming on in the 60th, 70th minute, he's just going to turn the game around. That's just the type of player he is.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely calling it, mate. I think we asked Jake last week, is he aware of comparisons that people in relation to Jerry Yates? Obviously, he was hugely flattered by that. But yeah, he's acutely aware, and it's not like we're blowing sunshine up the guys' backsides. The comparisons are there for all to see. And I think increasingly, the more you learn about Jeff Cart from conversations with Plymouth fans and what we're actually seeing, so far, the limited views we've had of him in a town shirt, I think comparisons to Doyle are pretty accurate. He's a finisher. Plymouth are playing a very different style of football this season, and that's what their fans are saying, guys. he doesn't his face doesn't fit at the moment, like tactically for Plymouth. So
I think Jeff had a great game last night, and it was good to see him start, and it was nice to see sort of like a number 9 sort of in and around the box, because obviously Wakeland, he's not that type of player just to sit there. Obviously he's running about non-stop, so it was nice to see, that number 9, and Williams with that cross in with Jeffcott's chance in like the first 3 minutes. That obviously come from Jeffcott's positioning in and around the penalty spot. So yeah,
but I know you mentioned it as well, Ellis. The front 3 at the minute. If we did go Wakeland, Jeffcott, and Williams, that is basically just a Yates, Doyle, Isgrove.
Yeah,
like we know how that went.
Exactly.
But you can say that as well when you say that as your front 3, and then you've got. I mean, we haven't seen what Morgan Roberts can do at this level yet, but I would have loved him to come on after 70, 75 minutes last night when it was a bit meh, just to see what he could have done. But if you're bringing him in, well, obviously he's a bit of an unknown, and then Hepburn Murphy, that's some really good attacking options we've got there.
100%. I'm buzzing for Morgan Roberts, though. I'm flying the flag.
Yeah,
I think he'd be great.
I really wanted to see him last night. I was when I was. I wasn't at the game there. I was watching on iFollow, but watching it there, I thought at 70 minutes it was begging for him to come on just for something a bit different.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I think interestingly, Morgan Roberts, proper Roy the Rovers stuff, isn't it? I don't care who you are. Like you one look at that, what level of football you appreciate, or what depth of football you appreciate. One look at his Banbury highlights reel, and you're salivating, aren't you? I mean, curled free kicks, poaching goals. Looks like he's got pace about him, loads of creativity. One thing I did want to touch on last night, I think one of the things that sort of fed the negativity that did seem to breed a little bit in the second half before the goal, obviously where we were, Joe, we were stood in the town end, we were behind the goal. There was a lot of heckling in relation to Sol Brim wanting to play it short, wasn't there? And it appeared to affect
Mate,
the plan.
It affected the whole back line.
Yeah, we had 2 goal kicks, didn't we, on the bounce that ended up in the dugouts. And that then led to, I didn't see it, I've got to be honest, but apparently that led to an Angus MacDonald exchange with the town end as well, where they were obviously calling each other out. I mean, from my point of view, I'll just put out on the record now, like what I said to you in the stand. Listen, I mean, people started singing, we want our Swindon back, or, I'm not being funny, but if goalkeepers punting it into the dugouts is your version of our Swindon, or us trying to play that kind of game, then I think you're getting it all wrong. I mean, listen, I'm fairly well. I'd like to think I'm pretty well qualified to be sort of making that comment on the basis of, I've been a fan over 35 years, and bar the Lou Macari era that was very direct. Much of the success that I've seen us enjoy under certain managers has been, playing a pretty purist form of football. There was plenty of cut and thrust with Paolo Di Canio, but I don't suddenly want to see us, throwing the baby out with the bathwater. And I think what was doubly pleasing was that the winning goal came from a really nice kind of, piece of build-up play from us, where we've retained the ball, we've put it into a position where we've curled the ball in from a dangerous spot, and we've scored a cracking header. I mean, if you're going to silence your critics, then that's a brilliant way of doing it. But it was at that point, Joe, you pointed it out to me about the dad that left the stand with his young son, and then they've obviously got to miss the winning goal, right?
Mate, that was... Go back to... Before we start the conversation on the atmosphere, the winning goal is the Swindon way. That is what, in my head at least, I've been watching Swindon Town for a lot less years than you have, Hannah's, but to me, that is the Swindon way of playing football. We've retained possession. We've got 20-odd passes leading up to the goal. Louis Reed has done what Louis Reed does and just plays an absolute blinding pass after beating 2 or 3 players out wide. It's if you want to say a direct ball from Blake Tracy, but you're picking out one of the smallest men on the pitch and he's placed it side netting. To me, that is, it's just the way it should be. We don't be watching just. I'm not going to call Sutton a hoofball team. I
will.
particularly.
Don't worry about
well,
that.
Well, no, I think, as you mentioned earlier on, less so maybe than compared to last year. But you don't want to see maybe even a David Flitcroft era Swindon of just booting the ball over halfway, and you're coming out of a game with a sore neck. It's just not. That's not what we're paying money to see, is it? But yeah, you mentioned the lad next to us. He was maybe 6 or 7 years old. 2-2, I think it hit 85 minutes, and his dad. It was really, really toxic around us. I've probably not got much of a platform to call anyone out on certain behaviour in a football stadium. I've been frustrated before. I know what it feels like, but booing your own team for trying to play out from the back and be progressive, finding space and opening up games by finding space. It's just a bit backwards. I don't understand it. It's literally the youngest people in the stand who you'd think would be, up to date in terms of footballing philosophies and playing progressive football would understand it. But no, they were literally bluing and giving dogs abuse to the back line. And I saw, well, allegedly what Angus is, how he's reacted, and you can't blame him. He's trying to do his job. He's trying to play League Two football at a high standard, and at the end of the day, we won the game yesterday, and it's worked.
Well, I mean,
listen,
Chris,
it's sad. Sorry, one more thing as well. It's sad that a young lad has actually been taken home because his dad has noticed the behaviour and the language, and he's not liked it. He's not there for a young town fan to take on board and to experience. And the young lad's missed the last minute winner.
I think, Joe. I think really what led to it was that I think it was building. I think that the adult with the kid. I think you could see he sort of sensed that it was building to a point where he wanted to get his son out there. That things were going to sort of boil over and get really unpleasant. Thankfully, we've got the game by the scruff of the neck. 6 minutes of injury time went up. I believe I turned to you and I said, like, we could definitely still win this. Like, we still got it in us to pinch it. And yeah, did I expect us to? Probably not, if I'm honest. But at the same time, I still thought we had the window of opportunity. We've got enough quality in the squad, and thankfully it shone through. But I mean, one thing I was going to pose to you, Chris, actually, was it was interesting, the timing of the winner. And we talked pre-season. There were question marks about fitness, and people saying, look, the gaffers sort of talking a lot about the players being worked really hard and all the rest of it. But then at the same time, early in the season, there were comments about the fact that the fitness levels weren't quite right, and so as a consequence, the gaffer was getting a lot of stick. Now, interestingly, the nature of that winner last night, we talked about the fact it came from Jake Wakeling out muscling a couple of 6'3", 6'4" centre backs. I was going to just pose to you, Chris. Do you think that happened as a consequence of superior fitness?
I think it had something to do with it, because obviously he's Scott Lindsay's obviously had the idea of how he wanted stuff to do, because he was going on about, I mean, he mentioned quite often in pre-season friendlies that he wanted players to play fatigued to help with that fitness and whatnot. But I think we could probably do with better use of subs. I think we've missed the boat a bit there this season, because like Ricky Aguiar's, how many minutes has he played? I think we could. He could do with a bit more. And I mean, obviously,
all I would say, Chris, on that front, I mean, I don't think I could fault the substitutions. Like, I think you're right. If you look at the season as a whole, I think last night, I think he got the substitutions spot on. I think, Darcy was getting out muscled. I thought Saidi Khan brought a certain sort of steeliness and determination that sort of balanced Sutton's threat in the middle. I think Wakeling brought that waspishness that, just caused all kinds of mayhem at the back for Sutton. And I think they brought their subs on. And I thought their actual impact was minimal, to be totally frank.
The other thing as well, I'd say about that I really don't envy Scott Lindsay is when you look at our midfield, there's so many good players there. How do you get them in? How do you work out what's best? And the other thing as well, going back to the incident with like Angus MacDonald, I think that the thing there as well is if with some of our fans as well, players talk, and so that's hindering other decent players coming to us because I'm not going to go there if the fan base is like that.
Yeah, I think you're right. Listen, but I mean, a lot. I can only. I think the thing is, there's a couple of things in what you're saying there, Chris. I think my personal sort of perception on it is that I think this is where Scott Lindsay's appointment as the gaffer actually works a treat, because if you've got a big competitive squad like we've clearly got now, and I appreciate we're putting a few lads out on loan, but if the gaffer is the guy last season that was the one that, the assistant is the cliche is he's the one that puts the arm around the shoulder. He's the, he's more of a man manager than he is the kind of like, the press facing or the talismanic presence of an established manager. I think, really that's the big test, isn't it, for Scott Lindsay this year? Like keeping so many talented lads. You mentioned Ricky Aguiar as a prime example, keeping so many talented lads happy and on side and giving them their opportunities. But I mean, look, people talk, but let them talk. Listen, at the end of the day, we're 8 games in. We are, essentially 1 win outside the playoff places, 2 or 3 wins out of having a proper run at automatic promotion, and we've got it all to play for against Doncaster on Saturday. But I mean, look, let's have a little gander at Doncaster while we're at it. So it's almost, for me, it's almost like, I appreciate we're not playing at home on Saturday, but it's a similar situation going into the Sutton game. Here we are looking at Doncaster 3 points ahead of us, a little bit further up in the table. Doncaster off the back of 2 straight defeats, us off the back of ultimately unbeaten since the opening game of the season. And I asked this question last night, and it's a funny one because it's almost counterintuitive that I should even ask it. But when you look at Doncaster Rovers' form, if you just literally look at their last 6 games, sorry, they have we have got a draw, win, loss, whereas Town are draw, win, draw, win. Whose record would you rather have? Despite obviously they're further up the table, so you instinctively go, well, you'd rather have Doncaster's, right? They're further up the table, but at the same time, the table still doesn't really count for much at this time of the year, does it? For me,
the other thing is there as well, like looking ahead to the week. Oh, go on. Sorry.
No, not at all. It's the unbeaten record for me, and I think it kind of feels to me that we're getting Donny in the same way that we got hold of Sutton. So I'm going into the weekend with a towel very much up, Chris.
Yeah, well, the only thing there is that what I was trying to say is, what is that home record versus away record?
Well, that's a very good question, and I haven't got a split, mate. At my
I know they lost at home last weekend. Hang on, I do have my laptop here, so I might be able to quickly have a look.
Well, no, allow me. I'll run you through it. So in September, so basically on the 3rd of September, they were secondly beaten at I'll call it Bellevue, their old ground.
Eco Power.
Eco Power. So they were soundly beaten by Mansfield on the 3rd of September, 3-1. Prior to that, their most recent result, Saturday 13th, Barrow turned them over 2-0 at Barrow's place. Barrow, very much the surprise package in League Two, I think it was fair to say, this season. They, going back to the home record on the 30th of August, they drew 0-0 with Newcastle in normal time, but won on penalties in the Pizza Pot Trophy. They won away at Northampton Town, beating them 1-0. They won at home against Salford, beating them 2-1. They beat Stockport County at home. They lost to Wimbledon. They got thumped in the EFL Cup by Lincoln, and they won at home against Sutton United. So I think
they've got a decent home record.
Yeah, the home record's decent.
Yeah.
Who needs a decent home record when you got Jakey Wakey?
Well, yeah, there is that. But
I
also appreciate your brown nosing because Jay, you know damn well that Jakey's listening in right now.
Oh, I'm not looking at the listeners.
Well, we all know what Joe's like.
Good evening, Jakey. It's great to have you with us again. Yes, Joe, you
Like on the deck. Good evening,
We've
Prime
already
Minister.
got Joe. You don't need to do that. We've got Tyrese over a barrel, mate. We've got the little.
Well, we've got Tyrese and Jake with the double act celebration next time round, haven't we?
We have, yeah, we have. Yeah, Jakey, we'll leave you to pick up with Tyrese on that front, mate. So he's made a commitment on your behalf.
There's a charity donation on this, so
unless he wants to come on now and sing a song.
Oh, that's a good point. Good point.
I will record it when Jakey scores this, completes his hat trick at Doncaster on Saturday.
Right, you are. Right, you are. I don't think we can hold Jake. I don't think we can hold him to a song. But listen, we've done the deal with Tyrese. See what the boys deliver for us at the weekend. Well, listen, so we've got Donny to look forward to at the weekend. Let's just quickly take some predictions from you guys, my wonderful panel. We will go into, hopefully we may well be dabbling with our first away game of the season match day live experience, but to be confirmed. Joe, what are you thinking for the weekend, mate, by way of prediction?
I'll go 3-1 Town. I think Jeff Gott's going to get off the mark. I'll go for a Wakeling goal, not because he's listening, or maybe because he's listening. And here you go, an Angus header from a corner.
Rob Angus.
Oh,
Rob Angus with a header. Yeah,
that's what my prediction was.
All right, 3-1. Sorry,
corner goal.
Tom Clayton header.
People that have just tuned in will be wondering why I'm saying about a Rob Angus header, but all I'll say is just ask Tyrese Shade and go back and listen to the earlier portion of the show. So, so you're going down that road. Ellis, sorry, mate. Let's get a prediction out of you.
6-0 with Wakeling scoring all 6 goals.
Oh my God, you're brown nosing the Perrier.
No, 2-1 Town. I think Jeff Cott will get. He's going to score. I feel it. He's going to score a very sexual goal. And then Wakeling with a last-minute winner again.
Describe a sexual goal, Ellis. Is that
a bicycle kick, or something like that? Just something amazing. I feel it.
Something Danny and Vincibile-esque.
Yes.
A Rory Fallon.
Yes, we'll take a Rory Fallon at the Town. And Chris, what are you saying? Predictions?
I'm saying 2-1 with a Jeff Cut and Wakeling double act.
Oh, very, very nice.
Our noses couldn't be any browner after this.
No, you're doing very, very well. Very, very well. I'm going to be expecting for sweet corn the way you two are going at it.
Let's get our American friend on to see what he says.
Well, we certainly will. Don't you worry about that. Hey, listen, Jeff, get yourself ready, pal. If you're at your mobile, we're going to be getting you on shortly. So let's see if rack him up. Let's see. He's had a tough couple of weeks as our Jiffo, so it'd be lovely to speak to him. Right, I'm going to go for a dogged but comprehensive, like as in very tidy, 2-1, and I think we'll be 2-0. We'll be winning 2-0 for a large chunk of the game, and then I think they'll shit house a goal towards the end because it's League Two, isn't it? There'll probably be some dodgy refereeing, like offside decision, a lino not just doing their job properly, but they'll shit house a goal. But we'll hold on a little bit, not hold on, but a little bit like what happened last night. And I've got Jakey Wakey amongst the assists, but I reckon it's going to be the Jeff Cotton Gladwin show on Saturday. I've got a feeling I saw Gladders shaping up to rifle a couple last night, and it just didn't quite happen. But I've got a sneaky feeling that's going to be the pick of the bunch. Well, now listen, you lovely, lovely, lucky people that are listening to our show. Clipmeister extraordinaire, Jiffo, is now with us. Jiff, good evening. How are you, pal? Oh, Jiff, don't let me down. Hey,
I was listening on the computer, so I am going to go 2-1 to us this weekend.
Yeah, you are. How are you, buddy?
Pretty good.
Good to hear your voice. What did you make of the game last night?
I didn't watch it. I mean, I work in the week, so I can't watch midweek games.
Have you not had an opportunity to get into the highlights yet, mate?
No, I just skipped through to the goals. That was it. Best
Right,
part.
gotcha. So it's all about Saturday for you then, buddy, isn't it?
Yeah.
A bit of Donny on Saturday. And sorry, what was your prediction, Jeff?
2-1 to us. We'll go Jeff Cott and Wakeling to score. I'll go the same as everybody else.
Oh, lovely. We'll take a little bit of that. How have things been stateside for you, Jeff?
Yeah, not too bad. Busy at work and, normal stuff.
Grafting away. Have you got yourself resplendent in the new third shirt, Jeff? Oh, have we lost you? I think we might have lost him. Have I still got you, Joe, Ellis, Chris? Have I still got you?
I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Oh, I think we've lost Jeff.
No, I'm
That's
here.
a bit of a shame. Oh, he's back.
He's
Jeff,
back.
Have you got yourself your green shirt on order yet?
No, because it's only in the store. They're not on the website, are they?
Well, it's just as well you're part of the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge, Jeff, isn't it? Eh?
Right.
Just as well you've got high places. Because to quote Uncle Argyle, this is something we shall have to remedy.
Because no one in the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge bought their own shirt.
What?
What do you look? How dare you? That is a baseless allegation.
Oh, they paid for it. They just didn't get it.
Hey. Well, listen, okay, maybe there was a little bit of a flex on my part, but in fairness, I did have a very, very, very long journey to make, and I knew that I was going to be scraping it into the county ground at 5:30 for a show start. So I think I was well within my rights to bank transfer to a very good friend of mine and ask him to make the purchase on my behalf. I don't think that's a bad thing to say. But listen, Jeff, I promise you, we'll get you one sorted, pal. Drop us a line off air, sizes and whatnot, mate, and we'll get one in the post for you.
Awesome.
Your purple.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Oh, mate, it's the least we can do. It's the least we can do for the world's, for the West Country's favourite clipmeister. But listen, mate, we'll obviously we've got Clem back in the country over here. We've got it was good to see him actually. Rub shoulders with him after the show yesterday. He's over with his wife and I think a few other members of his family. Seems up for the task of injecting any sort of like further momentum into the club. But I think there's probably in some parties, I don't know how you feel about it, mate, all the way over in the States, but I get the impression there's a lot of people looking for reassurance from him, if anything. I think it's one of those things that when he goes away, I think it's a weird way of sort of showing that we kind of miss him. And I don't mean that in a sycophantic way. I just think that when he is away, because he's around the other side of the world, the communications from him doesn't flow in a way, and I don't think he's not really active on social media, so I don't think he's as contactable as, say, for example, a Darragh McAntony if you're a Peterborough fan. So, but when he's in the country, he doesn't shy away from his media responsibilities. So I think there's going to be a lot of people keeping an eye out for and indeed posing a lot of questions. And I think, in fact, based on what he said to me last night, he's going to be fairly keen to get his thoughts heard over the coming few weeks. So interesting times, Jeff.
Yeah, that's good to hear. At least, obviously, if he's in Australia, like you say, he can day-to-day running of things. But you know what? I just go with the flow, and I think we're going to be okay. So let's wait and see.
Hey, I think you're right, mate. Well, listen, good as always to catch up with you, pal. Boys, I'll just come back to you, from a panel point of view. I think we talked about Oscar Massey, Harry Minturn, the Minnow Goat departing to Gloucester and Hungerford, respectively.
I was actually just on Hungerford's profile, actually, as it goes, to see what had happened. But they lost 4-1 tonight against Havant and Waterlooville, but they didn't ever post their starting 11, so I'm not too sure if Oscar started.
I've not been able to fish anything out at all. For those of you that have been listening to us and maybe not had the football in the background, or maybe don't have an appropriate subscription, I'll just give you a quick rundown of some of the results tonight. It's not been fantastic across the board for British clubs in Europe tonight. It's been Rangers 0, Napoli 3. Rangers have got gubbed again at Ibrox. Milan have beaten Dinamo Zagreb 3-1. Chelsea have drawn at home to Red Bull Salzburg. Celtic have gotten away point at Shakhtar Donetsk. Real Madrid have beaten Leipzig 2-0, Copenhagen 0, Sevilla 0. Man City have beaten Borussia Dortmund 2-1. And guess who scored for Manchester City? Yes, you are right, Alfie.
If anyone's seen that goal, just watch it again. Haaland's goal's a joke.
Just lovely. I mean, he's pure theatre, isn't it? He was always going to do that against his old club.
He's going to get 40 goals in the Premier League this season.
No doubt.
I reckon as well. Yeah, I reckon too.
Yeah, no doubt. Dale Corduroy, thank you, Dale. Dale's just tweeted us and said that Sky Sports has shown that Massey was not in the squad tonight. So thank you for that, Dale. Really appreciate it. Just to wrap up the last two results, Juve lost at home to Benfica, another big result for Portuguese club after Sporting Lisbon beat Spurs last night. And Maccabi Haifa have lost at home, probably unsurprisingly, to Paris Saint-Germain, where the trio of Messi, Mbappe and Neymar were all amongst the goal scorers. So, interesting night. Just trying to see if there are any other fixtures of note around.
Our good friends in white and blue lost 3-0 at home.
Go on, Joe.
One to take the shoes off.
Oh, yeah, that mob. Oh, yeah.
How much did Bristol City lose by?
Right, let's have a look. Right, okay.
3-2. 3-2. City lost. Bristol City lost.
Yeah, so Sunderland have ripped Reading apart at the Medeski, which is always nice to see. And further down the M4, Norwich have put 3 goals past Bristol City, who could only reply with 2. Unlucky lads. What we got further down? Yeah, Hungerford have lost away, haven't Waterlooville 4-1. And I think that is about it in that respect. I mentioned to Swindon Town Women's Football Club, we were delighted to see Helena Diaz-Butcher, who's going to be far more involved with Tom Broadbent Lounge moving forward. Delighted to confirm and keep your eyes peeled for things that we'll be doing together moving forward. They've got their towels up ahead of a fixture with Bournemouth at Foundation Park on Sunday. So for those of you that want to get your football fix and won't be making it to Doncaster on Saturday, tickets are available at Foundation Park. It's a 2 p.m. kickoff. Swindon Town Women's Football Club are playing Bournemouth in the FA Women's National League. 2 p.m. kickoff. It's £3 for adults, £1 for over 65s, and your under 16s get in free. For those of you that heard our interviews with Helena and Annie Colston, who we also sponsor last week, please do, if you can, get down there and you're able to travel. It means the absolute world to the women's team. They had a crowd of the best part of 250 around the pitch, and surprise, surprise, it drove them to a last-minute winner. That was certainly Annie's assumption, as she did her escape to victory Pele routine, dribbled around pretty much the whole team, burying one in the top corner. So the crowd really does make a difference. But listen, I mean, that's me pretty much done, guys, unless I'm missing anything. We'll just do one last little sweep of the tweets. Parody Clem Morfuni, thank you, buddy. He has tweeted us again and said that just making a comment about Louis Reed. He said that Louis Reed's not reached the heights of last season yet. Last night was the closest he came to reaching the bar. Best free kick he's taken all season. Yeah, indeed. Forced a fantastic save out of Ross. It's a combination of the goalkeeper and the woodwork, if I recall. Ben, sorry we didn't get around to asking Tyrese Shade your question. To be totally frank, mate, it's highly unlikely we will get a professional to answer in relation to what is your goal target. And he definitely, well, in fairness, answered the second part, I think, in a roundabout manner.
His goal target is whatever Erling Haaland gets, +1.
Yeah, I'm sure it will be. Very sorry, as we would answer your question. Pros don't tend to like talking about other players' injuries. Esby was quite keen for us to ask about what Lavinia's injury was looking like. All I would say, Esby, is whilst I'm not a medical professional, the fact that he was still in a position where able to limp on that foot all the way around the pitch as opposed to being on a stretcher probably tells its own story.
In relation to that, Hannah's, though, press conference tomorrow will probably give us a better idea of that when no doubt Scott will be asked that.
Yeah, I'll make you right. Steve Curtis, Steve, thanks, mate. Another observation, similar to PCM. Reedy's set pieces were a lot better last night, on target. Couldn't hit a barn door in other games. A little bit harsh, Steve. You speak as you find, but you pays your money, you takes your choice. And I'm sure Reedy will be the first one to endorse that as well. And James, hello, mate, all the way from the States. Florida, James, if I remember rightly. James is saying a question for Tyrese. I think we got this answered for you, James. Did he hurt his foot kicking the cameraman's bag after he scored? I can tell you for a fact he didn't hurt his foot, but he's damaged about £1,000 worth of camera lenses. So hence Tyrese's distinct levels of embarrassment. And there's going to be some serious sucking up going on between the Shade and the Knowles household, I think, over the coming few days. So, but listen, I mean, it's been an absolute treat hosting this wonderful panel of mine and having all your ears again for another fantastic evening in the Swindon Town football fan content. As I mentioned last night, the Sir Tom Broadbent Lounge is a Swindon Town fan Twitter space. As such, the opinions do not represent those of Swindon Town Football Club or Sir Tom Broadbent himself. God bless him and all that's foul in him. Thanks ever so much for your ears. Joe, thank you very much, mate. It's been great having you again. I look forward to catching up with you soon.
Cheers, mate. Thank you very much for having me.
Take good care. Ellis, I've always got to be nice to you for fear of you punching me head.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure having you, champ. Thanks ever so much for joining us tonight.
No worries. Thank you.
Catch up with you very soon. Chris, as I say, the man that puts no into Northerner. It's been brilliant having you on board, pal.
As always a pleasure. And shame you lot aren't coming up at Donny so I could buy you a few beers.
Mate, listen, I would love to. But until such time as I can buy a train ticket to go anywhere in this country following my football club, it's not going to bankrupt my entire family. It's proving troublesome for me at the moment, unfortunately. And of course, we had the absolute wonder that is Jiffo, and I'm sure for some of you that have listened in tonight and heard Jiff speaking for the first time, he's not a bot. He is a real person, and what a delight he is. Jiffo, if you're still listening, mate, take good care of yourself. It's an absolute pleasure having everyone else with us. Cheers for your ears. We look forward if we hopefully can get a show going for Saturday, but we're probably overdue a fry up. So if we don't get a match day show going on Saturday, then we will probably get a fry up rolling early on Sunday morning, or maybe late Sunday morning. So we'll have to see how we go. But anyway, we are the Tom Broadbent Lounge. It's been a treat having you. Take good care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your week.